exactly with Brandon to kind of let him know what you were thinking and how that conversation goes?
Yeah, I met with Brandon on Thursday, once I really made the decision that this is what I was going to do.
Garrett, if your brother was Dabo's main sort of point of contact and you're trying to learn more about Dabo in this place, I'm guessing that Lincoln was somebody you consulted. What did he share? What did others share about sort of to give you insight into what you might have been considering?
I certainly talked to Lincoln and not really as much about Coach Swinney. I think there's probably just the move, and just, what do you think? And just trying to get some guidance on some of the things that involves. So, he doesn't have a whole lot of, I know they've seen each other and know each other through social things or seeing each other on the coaching circuit, whatever it's been. But, it was more of trying to, just kind of learn from some people that have worked with Coach Swinney to try and maybe get some of that information. But, yeah, I certainly talked to him.
Garrett, I'm guessing at some point you may want to be a head coach down the line. Just to getting to learn from Dabo and kind of how he runs the program and stuff factor into the
Yeah, it's certainly something I thought about. Yeah, for sure. Just the way this thing's been built and what he's done, and to be as consistent as they've been and to kind of do it his way. That's what I respected from afar, just kind of watching him throughout the years and watching Clemson. And, man, I just really respect that they've done it, probably differently than a lot of people, and just totally have conviction about his beliefs and how things are operated here and the way he allows his players to be and the way he, builds chemistry and continuity from a coaching staff, are all things that were, thought about for sure.
Coach, watching your slideshow presentation this morning and talking about, never wanting expectations to exceed your appreciation, I feel like a large part of the fan base needed kind of a realignment of that perspective.
Yeah. I don't pay attention to all that stuff, but it's there, right? And then especially when you got all kind of stuff coming at you from different sides. And we've won 3 national championships in 127 years, and some problems is we've won 2 in 7, so sometimes that can create a loss of perspective. And I think when you lose perspective, you lose your joy. And I think that's what's made Clemson unique and special. Is this place has always had a lot of fun. And you guys that have been around here back in February of 11 when we signed that class and we had that signing day, if I would have said to all of y'all coming off of 6 wins right there, hey, here's what's fixing to happen the next 12 years, Pete. I know we hadn't won 11 games in 31 years, but we're going to go do it 8 times in 11 years. I know we hadn't won 10 games in 20 years, but we're fixing to do it 12 years in a row. I know we hadn't won a national championship since 1981, but we're going to go to 6 Final Fours. We're going to win 2 national championships and come with an onside kick and winning another one. And we're going to win 12 straight postseason games, 12 years in a row. Nobody's ever done that in college football. Oh, and by the way, we're going to graduate 98% of our guys, and we're going to have 13 top 15 recruiting classes in a row. Y'all would have all looked at me like I was crazy, and the Clemson man would have said, hey, well, sign me up for that. All right, and it's not that we've been perfect every year, and we're never going to be perfect every year. But, man, we've had a lot of joy in the journey. And I think when you lose perspective of that and how hard it is, it's like, again, when we won the ACC championship up there in Charlotte in 11, there were 5,000 people at the West End Zone. It was unbelievable. Couldn't even get off the bus. 5,000 people. Now, there ain't nobody there. Now it ain't no big deal. And I think that's sad. I get it. I spent 13 years at Alabama. I know. And I've always, wanted to make sure that I kept the right perspective, that I stay focused on my purpose, that this stays a purpose-driven program, that we don't lose focus on our why, that we don't ever lose joy in our journey. And because that's part of my responsibility as I lead a group of people, a lot of people in these walls here. And it's been an incredible journey. And, God doesn't give us that, right? Like he doesn't just say, hey, here you go. Here's the next 12 years. You you just put your head down, and God just gives us just enough light to take that next step, right? And we just kind of keep going, you know, a lamp unto your path, right? Just enough light so you don't stomp your toe going to the bathroom, right? So, you know, I mean, our program's never been better, ever. You know, we're off to a better start this decade than we were last decade. But again, sometimes people can lose perspective. And we've raised the bar here. We've changed the standard. We've changed the expectations, and I love that. But as we strive to meet and exceed those expectations every single year, we got to keep the right perspective, and we got to have joy in the journey. You know, just because, I mean, listen, things can happen, right? I mean, something can happen. You can be a great team, but maybe you don't win the national championship. That doesn't mean your team wasn't committed. That doesn't mean you have a lot of character. That doesn't mean you didn't, you know, I mean, people work their butts off around here, and we all want to win every single game. But there is no, you know, triumph without some great failure or challenge or setback or whatever along the way, right? It's always a part of your journey, and it's all good. And, man, you start over every year and you go to work, but, man, what's happened in this program the last 12 years is it's historic, and it's been done by a lot of people. All I've done is my part. That's all I've done. But man, these players, the staff, all the support staff that have come through this program for years, and what's going on here, I mean, 12 years of 10+ wins. Alabama's had 15. The next longest streak is 2. You know, and for us to, you know, act like we're a bunch of failures around here because we only won 11 and won the league, and we lost our rival in state for the first time in a decade. I just think that's a bad mentality, you know. And if you're, again, 3 national championships in 127 years, and Final Four, it's hard to get there. We'll forever be the only team that's went to 6 Final Fours in a row. That ain't ever going to happen, right? Because it's going to change next year. So it's hard. It's really hard to win. Everybody's got good coaches. Everybody got good players. But the consistency that we've been able to have here on and off the field it's incredibly rare. It's incredibly unique. And we focus so much on what we don't do, and instead of what we do. And you learn, you get better, and you grow, you know, from each and every season. You make changes when you need to make changes. You keep learning, you know. And so that has served us well. And you know, hopefully, you know, moving forward, we can, you know, kind of, again, have a reset and not have a bunch of miserable people out there if we don't go 15-0. Because it's going to be a very miserable life if that's what you're waiting on every single year to determine your happiness. Got a bunch of great people that work their tails off and are incredibly committed to excellence every single year. And somewhere along the way, maybe we'll have that perfection. But you know, it's a daily, you know, deal that you have to stay committed to.
Garrett Chapel Fowler with the state. Can you just give us a sense of who you are as a non-football coach, like any hobbies or what do you like to do when you're not being an offensive coordinator? Anything?
Yeah, no, I enjoy lots of other things. No. I grew up in a small town, Muleshoe, Texas, and you hunted, you played sports, or you worked. That was kind of what you did growing up. So that was my childhood. I love lakes. I love, you know, I was able to do that in summers. So I love the outdoors. My family loved the outdoors. You know, so yeah, we enjoy other things outside of football.
Garrett, this is John Blau with the Post-Incarnate in Charleston. Simplicity of your offense, it seems to be pretty important. I talked to J.C. Harper. I think he said there were something like 12 pass concepts, 3 run concepts at Stephen at Boston. Is it still that simple, or has it got more complex, and how important is simplicity?
Simplicity is still very important. You know, I just philosophically believe in making it easy for them and letting them be very confident in what they do and letting their God-given ability take over at that point, you know. And I think that's been a pretty consistent, good recipe, not just for me, but for lots of other people. And, you know, that's certainly something that, you know, is kind of a premium for myself and the way that I think. So, yeah, I think that is certainly a critical piece.
with Kyle Richardson, will he still be the passing game coordinator and kind of play a role in that? I know he said that he's very familiar with this offense.
Yeah, that won't change, you know. And again, you know, that'll be all delegated, you know, by Garrett as he delegates things and crafts things. But yeah, Kyle's got it's you know, that is his background, and so that'll be a good bridge in the room for sure. It'll be good.
When you first called Lincoln, did you say something like, "You think Garrett would be interested," or like how did that go?
You want me to just give you the details of?
Did you think you had like a real shot at him before talking to Lincoln? I guess.
Oh man, I honestly, I just you know, I don't trust a lot of people, especially in this day and age where, you know, it's just you can't you know, people, a lot of people talk, and so Lincoln was a guy I knew I could trust. And as I was and I really wasn't even convinced that I was going to make a change just yet. Just was really just kind of doing my process, doing my due diligence, and just praying on it, thinking through it. And I had, you know, 3 or 4 names that I wanted to kind of vet out a little bit, and you know, knew that he would shoot me straight, if you will, and also you know, speak in confidence. So that's kind of where it went. And I mean, obviously his brother was a guy that, you know, was kind of top of that list. So and kind of started there and talked about the other guys, and then it was just, you know, whether or not there would be some interest. And once I found out there might be some interest, then I kind of put a hold on everything and just said, well, I'll wait till after this game, and then I'll reach out and go from there. And that's what we did.
So did you talk to anybody else? Any other candidates?
No, I didn't talk to anyone in person. Nope.
Any questions for either coach from Zoom? Anybody else in the room?
Are you guys at 85 Dabo scholarships at this point?
Oh, we're at 88. It's a good, one of my favorite numbers, but that's a problem. You know, it's. I mean, roster management is hard in this day of. I mean, we got a couple more years of COVID, I guess, and again, I'm thankful for that because we got some great players that are coming back. I thought all these guys were gone. If you'd have told me back in the summer that Xavier Thomas and Maskell and Rook and Tyler Davis and JP, that those guys were all back here, I'd have said, what planet are you living on? So, you know, you kind of plan for these things, but we've got 3 walk-ons on scholarship that we could take back if we had to. I mean, they came here as walk-ons, certainly wouldn't want to do that. Hunter's on scholarship, Dominique's on scholarship, and my snapper Casperson's on scholarship. And those guys have earned it, and they deserve it. But, you know, they did come here as a walk-on, and, I mean, if we got to that, but who knows? You know, in May I may be at 65 scholarships. They may hate Garrett. I don't know. They may say, heck with me, I'm out of here. I'm going to go run the wing tee somewhere. I don't know. So that's where we are today. It doesn't take much to really put the math together. So we will be at 85 by August is where you got to be. And, you know, if we didn't lose anybody after spring ball last year. And hopefully we don't lose anybody this year. I think we got a great roster. I think we've put, if y'all heard me say that earlier today, I think we've put really 3 special classes together in a row. Special. You know, Shipley, Maffa, Brenny, Barrett, Trotter, Nate, that whole, you know, Marcus Tate, that group that will be true juniors to go on top of that group last year that were true freshmen that will be sophomores, and Cade and you know, Blake and Colin Sadler, you know, some of the other guys that have come in here, Antonio Cole, Adam Randall. I mean, it's a great class. I mean, we really signed a great class. You know, to put with this group, I think it's a really special roster that I think is built to do some things for many years to come. So I'm excited to get to work with them, and we'll see what happens. But again, we didn't lose anybody last year after spring, and hopefully we don't lose anybody this year. But if you do, you deal with it. but it's where we are today.
If I could ask one quick question about injuries. I know Thomas Austin said today that Walker and Marcus will be out for the spring. Anyone else that you think to say that he's out?
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit more later, but we got several guys, honestly, that have some postseason surgeries, some, more than others, that'll be either out or limited as we get into spring. But those two, I'll confirm, but they'll be fine. But that's actually, I think we've talked about this. I really think that's going to be a blessing for us because we've got a lot of film with Marcus and a lot of film with Walker Parks. We really know who they are, and these are really true. These are two guys that I mean, they know what it's about and they know how to come to work, and we know what we've got there. So it's going to allow us to really, have a deeper dive from an evaluation standpoint in some of these other linemen. So I'm excited about that.
The support staff, there's some changes made there as well.
Yeah, we had a few changes. We hired a new nutritionist, Megan Turcott, stole her from Miami. She's outstanding. She was actually a student here back finishing up our first championship in 16, worked for Georgia for a few years, and then was the head person at Miami this past year. She's great. We got, JT Bandy's a new young operations assistant who's coming on board. We hired Will Gilchrist, who is going to be a special teams, guy for us to work with Bill. And Daquan Bowers is back. Really excited about that. Cavell Connor got the D coordinator job at West Florida. Caleb Nobles got the head coaching job. So it created a spot there. And so it was awesome to be able to bring Daquan back. He's been, running his own room at South Florida the past 3 years. So getting him back is really good. And then we got another young man that we'll be bringing in here that's actually spent some time with Garrett that'll fill Caleb Noble's role as a player development guy for us on offense. So I think that's it. Noah Harvin in the equipment room. He's our assistant equipment manager. So there's a few changes along the way.
Garrett, I think you've position coached every defensive unit, if I'm not wrong. How has that kind of informed your overall philosophy as a coordinator, coaching tight ends and running backs and receivers along with quarterback?
Yeah, I haven't touched O-line, and I hope to not do that. But no, yeah, it's certainly, I feel like, groomed me to understand it as much as you can and continue to grow and have to motivate different types of players on the team and be with different position groups. And, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't trade that for the world. I really wouldn't. And that certainly, I think, probably accelerated, my knowledge of the game, in a young career still.
Yeah, well, I know you mentioned passing offense and passing defense being the two big areas. Just with defense, do you feel like anything philosophical needs to change, or is it more just guys playing better and improving?
Yeah, we just got to get better. I love what we're doing. I think we're in a really good spot there, personnel-wise, and then also just where I think we're heading coaching-wise. I think we're in a good spot, and maybe didn't quite get some of the results, and we got to. We got to be a little better on the offensive side too. Sometimes those affect some things, but the main thing is being more disciplined in our pass defense, and we're going to have a lot of more experience back. We're bringing in some really more guys with depth and that can be able to help us there. But discipline, details, really learning from our mistakes. But that's the number one area we got to get better. And when you are who we are up front, you're gonna see more in the passing game than you do the run game. So it's kind of a natural that's sometimes that can get skewed a little bit, but that's where we got to get better. And then same thing in the pass offense. We got to get back to being who we've been around here for 10 of the 12 years in the past.
Take one final question if anybody has one.
Coach Riley, Johnny Faldudo with the Roar. A few weeks ago with the men's basketball game, you got your first chance to be in front of the Clemson fans and see the passion that they have for their teams here. What was that experience like for you and for your family, and what was it like to hear that reaction as you walked out on the court?
I was blown away. I had no idea. I thought I was going to go down there and just kind of wave to the crowd and they're going to get me out of there. And so I didn't expect that at all. That was, I was totally blown away, and I know my family and 2 little boys were fired up about it. So that was pretty special. Yeah, no question. You can see pretty quickly, the passion that people have about Clemson athletics and Clemson in general. That was pretty cool.
All right, Coach Riley, Coach Swinney, thank you both for your time. Appreciate
Thank y'all.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
See y'all March 6th.